not been reading as much as I usually do, or as I've been in the last months, mainly because I've been busy with other projects, especially art projects like drawing and painting. But I've been reading quite a lot of poetry, and I do love poetry so much. I think it's sort of my first love. I think before I really consciously fell in love with reading books, I fell in love with poetry. So I thought it would be a nice way to end the year by talking about some of my favorite poems that I discovered within the past few months. So they're recent favorites. The first one I want to talk about is called Traveling Together by W.S. Merwin, and I actually saw this in October. And this one is really short. If we are separated, I will try to wait for you on your side of things. Your side of the wall and the water, and of the light moving at its own speed. Even on leaves that we have seen, I will wait on one side, while a side is still there. And I don't know, I think this really hit me right in my heart, and I've been thinking about it ever since I saw it, honestly. And I don't know, I think especially the last line, it just makes me really sad, because in a way I think there's something beautiful about the poem, but there's also something so tragic and sad. And sometimes I just think to myself, you know, for how long are you willing to wait? For how long do you want a side to still be there for the other person? Because even though you want to hold on, I guess in a way, the question I always ask myself is, when is it time to let go? And I don't really have an answer to that, honestly. Maybe there isn't really one. The next one I have is a poem by Wendy Cope, which is called Valentine. And maybe this sort of contradicts what I said before, but like I said, maybe there's no answers, maybe there are contradictions, maybe it's just life. But this is called Valentine. My heart has made its mind up, and I'm afraid it's you. Whatever you've got lined up, my heart has made its mind up. And if you can't be signed up this year, next year will do. My heart has made its mind up, and I'm afraid it's you. I think this sort of really shows that if you love someone and if you feel so connected to a person, even though you maybe want to let go of them in your mind, sometimes it's not really a choice, and maybe you can't let go of them in your heart, even though it might be really painful. And maybe you will be able to let go at some point. Maybe it will take a while, but maybe things won't change, and maybe you will always have this one special person. The next poem is a poem by Sylvia Plath, and this one she wrote in 1936. Actually, she wrote it, the first draft she wrote on December 2nd, 1962, but then she finished it on January 28th, 1963, and so this was, I think, about 2 weeks before her death, and it's called Sheep in Fog. And really, I'm really sorry if I'm not pronouncing all these words right, but I will put the poem on the screen so you can read with me. The hills step off into whiteness. People or stars regard me sadly. I disappoint them. The train leaves a line of breath. All slow, pours the color of rust. Hooves, dolorous bells. All morning, the morning has been blackening. A flower left out. My bones hold a stillness. The far fields melt my heart. They threaten to let me through to a heaven, starless and fatherless, a dark water. And I think what you can really see in this poem is the state of mind she was in at the time, because she wrote this a few weeks before her death. And I've actually been thinking a lot about this because it sort of haunts me that The Bell Jar was published 2 weeks before she passed away, and then so much of her poetry and also her journals were published after her death. So she never knew, firstly, of her success, but also of all these personal poems and writings that are now available to the public. And so even though I deeply appreciate that we have all this information on her and all of her work to consume, it feels really intrusive that I'm reading all of these things that seem very private and maybe that are not meant to be read by the public. But I don't know, that's just kind of a side note, because I've been really thinking about this quite a lot for the past few weeks as I've been reading more of her later poems. And I don't know, maybe you have thoughts on this. Let me know what you think, if you have any thoughts to share. The next one is called We Should Be Prepared, and it's by Mary Oliver from Devotions. We should be well prepared. The way the plovers cry goodbye, the way the dead fox keeps on looking down the hill with open eye, the way the leaves fall and then there's a long wait, the way someone says we must never meet again, the way mold spots the cake, the way sourness overtakes the cream, the way the river water rushes by, never to return, the way the day goes by, never to return, the way somebody comes back, but only in a dream. Once again, I think something about this poem to me seems very haunting. Especially the last line of the way somebody comes back, but only in a dream. And overall the scene, it kind of reminds me of winter, so I just imagine someone walking through a park in the early evening and it's sort of foggy and rainy, and I don't know, it feels like you're being followed by something or someone, and yeah, something about it just seems like sort of haunting to me. But I really love this poem, I really do. The next one is called I Caught a Train That Passed the Town Where You Lived by Brian Patton, I believe. And this one I also saw in early October and I still think about it. I caught a train that passed the town where you lived. On the journey I thought of you. One evening when the park was soaking, you hid beneath trees, and all around you dimmed itself, as if the earth were lit by gaslight. We had faith that love would last forever. I caught a train that passed the town where you lived. I don't know, I think this just reminds me of when you think of someone and you don't see the person anymore, you're not in contact anymore, but they're always still there in the back of your mind. The next one is called Darling, and this one I came across quite recently. It's a poem by Alex Dimitrov, I believe. Darling, the days fall out of your pockets, one after the other. Soon you'll need a new jacket with tougher leather and seams no one has felt. Soon you'll bring the old books into your bed and sleep easy and alone. It must be December again. This must be the part of the story where you refuse to say how the bodies you walk towards continue walking in you. With heavy black boots, in a calm procession of darling and honey, they walk up and down the narrow streets of your heart. Again, this is just all the people that live in you and that you once have known, but maybe that you don't know anymore. Or I guess you sort of know them as a memory that you keep inside of you, but that's really all you have left of them. The next poem is a poem by Audre Lorde, and I really admire her a lot. And this one is called Coping. It has rained for 5 days. Running, the world is a round puddle of sunless water. Our small islands are only beginning to cope. A young boy in my garden is bailing out water from his flower patch. When I ask him why, he tells me young seeds that have not seen sun forget and drown easily. It sort of cuts from one thing, from one line to the next. All the lines are very short, and I don't know, it gives the poem sort of a different rhythm, I think. And I don't know, I don't want to say emptiness, but there's a certain harshness that or like a certain rhythm, like I said, that is added to the poem, and it sort of feels, it doesn't feel like continuous, it sort of feels like thoughts just coming out of you. I don't really know how to describe it, but I really like this one. The second to last poem I want to read is a poem by, again, Sylvia Plath, and this one is from her journals, from the unabridged journals, and it's on page 25 if you also have the book and you want to read along. And this does not have a name, I think, because it's unpublished. It might be in the poetry collection, this one, where I read the previous poem from, but I have not looked if it's in here, and it might not be, but it's in her journals. So, click click, tick tick, clock snipes time in 2, lap of rain in the drain pipe, 2 o'clock, and never you down the evening. I cannot cry or even smile, acidly or bittersweetly, for never you and incompletely. Things around me I could touch, soap or toothbrush, desk or chair. Never mind the 3 dimensions, all is flat and you not there. Letters, papers, stamps, and white and black, typewritten you and there. It is the trickle, liquid trickle of rain in drain pipe is voice enough for me tonight, and the click click, hard quick click click of the clock is pain enough heartbeat for me tonight. The narrow cot, the iron bed, is space enough and warmth enough to bed and sleep and tearless creep, the formless seconds, minutes, hours, and never you. The raindrops weep and never you, and tick tick, tick tick, pass the hours. I don't know, when I read this one, I think it was in September, it really resonated with me, so I always kept thinking about it, and even now I keep thinking about it, and I think it's just so astonishing how she was able to produce such poetry at such a young age, because I think at the time of this she was 19, and I mean, come on. Right, so the last poem I want to talk about is one that I already mentioned, but since I'm so obsessed with the poem, I'm going to read it to you, even though I talked about it previously. This one is called After the Lunch by Wendy Cope, and if you read one poem by Wendy Cope, please read this one, because I don't know, it just makes me so sad. On Waterloo Bridge, where we said our goodbyes, the weather conditions bring tears to my eyes. I wipe them away with a black woolly glove and try not to notice I've fallen in love. On Waterloo Bridge, I'm trying to think, this is nothing, you're high on the charm and the drink. But the jukebox inside me is playing a song that says something different, and when was it wrong? On Waterloo Bridge, with the wind in my hair, I'm tempted to skip, you're a fool, I don't care. The head does its best, but the heart is the boss. I admit it before I'm halfway across. I mean, this is just, I don't even want to say anything about it. Like, I don't want to analyze anything. I just take it in yourself. Just take it in yourself. And maybe I could read you another poem by Wendy Cope, because why not? I think this is kind of Christmas theme like, or I guess just December theme like, and this one is really famous, so you might maybe know this one. It's called The Orange. At lunchtime I bought a huge orange. The size of it made us all laugh. I peeled it and shared it with Robert and Dave. They got quarters and I had a half. And that orange, it made me so happy, as ordinary things often do. Just lately, the shopping, a walk in the park, this is peace and contentment, it's new. The rest of the day was quite easy. I did all the jobs on my list and enjoyed them and had some time over. I love you, I'm glad I exist. I mean, yeah, I think this is really a nice poem to end this with, because I think it's about the small pleasures in life, the simple pleasures, and I think it also kind of sort of sums up the year in a way, because I think for all of us there will always be difficult times, and there will always be sadness and doubt, and you will worry about things, but at the end of the day there will always be these small things, you know, even just like the smallest possible things that can bring you joy, and they can remind you of the joy that exists in life, and that there's always hope, and that things will always get better, even though it might not seem like it in the moment. And at the end, just existing and observing and appreciating even the small things that can remind you why it is important to exist and to be alive, and just to appreciate what you have and find happiness in things like eating an orange and sharing an orange with your friends, and I don't know. You know, it's just the small things, the small happinesses that other people bring you and that you can bring other people. And also the act of sharing. I think there's something so beautiful in the act of sharing, especially food, with your loved ones. And yeah, I think it's good to remind yourself that you are glad that you exist, and I don't know, things will all turn out well, I think. I hope that you enjoyed this. Maybe you will read, maybe it inspired you to read some poetry, and I will probably post another 2 videos before the year ends, so this is not goodbye. But I also wanted to say really just thank you for all the support. I really can't believe it. We recently passed 2,000 subscribers, and I didn't really think that this would ever happen, to be honest. Like at the beginning of the year, I never really thought that anything like this would happen. So thank you so much. I really feel so appreciated, and I feel all of your support. And yeah, I hope that the new year is going to be exciting for all of us. But I don't know why I'm talking like this, because like I said, there's still videos to come. But anyways, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a lovely day, and I will see you soon. Bye.